Welcome back for a brand new round of box office predictions, kicking off this video by covering what happened last weekend in Fantasy Movie League. And that best lineup was a very, very tough one to nail. In fact, only one player in the Predictions with Perri League actually got it, and that player is D Duck for life. Huge congratulations to you. Only person to score that perfect lineup. The summer is really winding down now, so I think this is the last weekend in play for the summer season, actually. So pressure is on, guys. Try to rack up that big money because this is your last shot, and then we are on to the fall season. All right, moving into our recap from what went down. It was a rough one for me in terms of my rankings. I'm not going to even say what it did. You can just see it here on the screen. Crazy Rich Asians saw a phenomenal holdover, only dropping 6.4%, making another $24.8 million. Then it was the Meg at number 2, which also held on strong, dropping just 39.4% and adding another $12.8 million to its haul. Then at number 3, it was the Happy Time Murders, which had a very rough start there, not even cracking 10 million and taking in just 9.5 million for its first weekend in theaters. We're back to strong holdovers, though, with the number 4 spot. Mission Impossible Fallout dropped just 24.9% and made another $8.1 million. And then at number 5, it was Mile 22. That one took a slightly bigger hit than I expected and made $6.4 million. Moving into this weekend's predictions now, I've got to remind you, this is Labor Day weekend, so it is a 4-day weekend, not a 3-day weekend. Admittedly, I tend to have a tough time with 4-day weekends, but hey, let's see what happens here. My number 5 for this weekend is actually going to be Christopher Robin. I do think that there is a chance that Operation Finale could sneak in and take this spot, but I've seen some projections that put it in the $8 to $10 million range for its 6-day stretch, so it does seem kind of unlikely. That's why I'm sticking with Disney's Christopher Robin here, and I think Christopher Robin could line up pretty well with Pete's Dragon. So Pete's Dragon, weekend 3 of its run, it made $7.4 million. Then it rolled into Labor Day weekend, its 4th weekend in theaters, and that's where it saw a 14.2% boost in its numbers. So switching gears now and looking at Christopher Robin, going into Labor Day, it made $6.3 million last weekend. It has been outpacing Pete's Dragon all along, so I think I'm sticking with that 14.2% uptick, and that would give Disney's Christopher Robin another $7 million to take to the bank. Now, my number 4 pick could have me in a tight spot as well. I'm actually going to give it to the Happy Time Murders. Between its disappointing performance last weekend and also that C- cinema score, I just have a feeling that this movie isn't going to do too well in its 2nd weekend in theaters. But that 2nd weekend happens to fall on a holiday weekend, so it could at least seem better than what it really is. I'm going to compare it to Sausage Party this time around. So Sausage Party, its 4th weekend in theaters, 1, that happened to happen during Labor Day weekend, and then 2, the weekend before its Labor Day run, it made a total of $7.5 million, which isn't all that far off from what the Happy Time Murders kicked off its run with last weekend. So Labor Day weekend, Sausage Party, it saw a 14.2% drop for the 4-day weekend. Sure, that movie was in its 4th weekend out, whereas Happy Time Murders is only in weekend 2. But again, Happy Time Murders just has so much working against it, so I think I'm going to keep that percent change right there. And if that's what Happy Time Murders winds up getting hit with this weekend, it's making another $8 million for the 4-day weekend. Now moving on to my number 3 pick, I actually have Mission Impossible Fallout rising in the rankings. I'm going to keep this one super short and sweet because you know what? I'm sticking with that Rogue Nation comparison. Yes, Fallout has been outpacing that movie, but they had the same release date. They're falling on Labor Day weekend at the same point in their run. So I'm looking at Rogue Nation, which took $9.4 million for the 4-day holiday weekend stretch. You know what? I'm just going to bring that number right up to an even $10 million, and that's what I'm giving Mission Impossible Fallout for Labor Day weekend. Now it is on to my number 2, and that's where I've got The Meg. I actually think Annabelle Creation could be a good one to compare The Meg to this time around. So Annabelle Creation, its weekend 4 also fell on Labor Day weekend. In weekend 3, though, that movie made just under $8 million, which is a little ways off from what The Meg made last weekend, but I'm going to use its percent change trend more so here. So $8 million, then Labor Day weekend, Annabelle Creation saw a 19.6% boost. I don't think The Meg is going to go up that much, but even if it does, let's say, rise 10%, the movie is still making another $14 million this holiday weekend. And now, of course, that means I have Crazy Rich Asians topping the charts again. I'm not even bothering trying to find a comparable film for this one because there isn't one. It is a true standout, and I do think that that celebration is going to continue through the holiday weekend. We were all busy applauding that incredible single-digit drop it saw last weekend, but with that extra day for Labor Day weekend, I actually think its grand total for the 4-day stretch is going to wind up topping what it made last weekend, and I've got Crazy Rich Asians coming in with an even $25 million this weekend. It is time for some recaps now. I've got Crazy Rich Asians at number 1 with $25 million for the 4-day weekend. The Meg coming in at number 2 with $14 million. Then it's Mission Impossible Fallout at number 3 with $10 million. Then The Happy Time Murders at number 4 with $8 million. And then Disney's Christopher Robin rounding out the top 5 with $7 million for the full Labor Day weekend. There it is, guys. Those are my predictions. I leave it to you now. Hit that comment section below. Put your top 5 and the numbers right there. Try to stick to those 4-day numbers if you can so we could see how we all did in the end. And also, don't forget to go over to Fantasy Movie League. Sign up for predictions with Perri. Get in that one last weekend of summer this weekend, but we kick off a brand new season next weekend. Now, of course, I've got some Patreon shoutouts to give, and this one is for a trio of supporters, and they are Clifford, Jason, and Jefferson. Thank you guys so much for being here, for supporting the Patreon campaign, for continuing to support it for that matter. It really does mean a lot to me, and it's a huge help, so thank you so much. Thanks to everybody out there watching these box office prediction videos. I love doing them. It makes me happy that you watch them. Like and share them, and we'll check back next weekend to see how we all did with our box office predictions.